Hi, Nachiketa. How have you been?
I've been doing all right. How have you been, David?
I'm okay. The last video we did, about Quranists are a fraud. I uploaded it on Facebook in many groups individually, and it's had several thousand views. So I was surprised it was that popular. Yes. So now today I would like to talk about the Hindu Quranists. Yes, I give them the title Hindu and Quranists, or the Hindu tourists, the Hindus and the Torah. Yes, the thing is because many people don't realize, same like today, Islam is a global religion. In the past, this religion of Moses, from what we can see from the work of Professor Fomenko, and the Torah, or the Old Testament, must have been global. And what we can see from the work of Nosovsky and from the work of Professor Anatoly Fomenko, what they have shown is that there was one global system and one global religion a few centuries ago. And the thing is, they went separate ways, and from the separate ways, the thing is, we can see there was an original global religion. You can call it original Christianity if you want, or call it original Hinduism, or call it original Islam, yes, or call it original Christianity, yes, call it whatever you want. But the thing is, what Menko and Nosovsky show is that the global religion went down different paths. Now the thing is, for example, there are very important concepts in Hinduism. Yes, there is the concept Brahman, or however you want to pronounce it. Yes, or the supreme Brahman, or it's like some people will say it's plural. Yes, for Brahma, Brahman, it basically Purusha was like they say the primal human, but many people think it's a different religion. In English we will just say Abraham, Braham, or as the Muslims will say Ibrahima. So in many of their prayers they actually say Ibrahima. Yes, the Muslims say, or Ibrahim. So they say yes, it depends on your pronunciation or whatever, and it's in Buddhism. Lord Brahma, also known as Purusha or Atmananda, and things like this. Purusha was the primal being, they say, or the image of God, or the image of Brahma. Brahma is the creator, yeah. And so what they say is that in Hinduism, Brahma has basically become God. Yes, different people have different opinions in many of the concepts that are within this, because it seems like a subject that's come out now. Many people think it's new, something that's called Quranist. Yes, where every single person gives their own interpretation of what they think are the meanings of the Quran. Now, a similar thing happened during the Renaissance. Every single person, or humanist, yes, it means the human mind, your interpretation. That's what human means. Yes, that's what human means. Like if they're humanist, or their opinion on what is Torah, or the gospel, evangelium, or angel. Now this has got to do with the concept of the 33rd degree. Now that's why this book, it's very deep thought, and this thing is it's one of the best books I've written. For me it would be like the best book. So let's go to the Hindu. Brahma or Brahman is the ultimate reality, the supreme God, also known as Puranas, the old or the primal, and things like this. And so the purpose of life, yes, in Hinduism, your actual purpose. Yes, liberation in this life, to get away from the samsara or whatever they call it, or enlightenment, is to reach this position. The position, yes, or union with Brahma. Yes. You're in India right now. Am I correct, or am I just making this up?
No, I think you're correct.
Yes. So
that's like the idea of yoga, right?
Yes, all these things. So the thing is, they call it, depending on your translation, you could call it the position of Brahma. Yes, or the station of Brahma. Yes, that is the purpose. Yes or no? Yes, then they become immortal, that they've gone to eternity. Yes, and basically, yes, you basically become Brahma yourself. Yes, and they say Brahma is the supreme God, and you can live forever. You know these concepts, yes, from the Upanishads. Yes? You can read it. I've sent you the Mandukya Upanishad 3, chapter 2, verse 9. There is the translation. You could read it.
Yeah, it's very small. It says, he who knows the supreme Brahman verily becomes Brahman. In his family, no one is born ignorant of Brahman. He overcomes grief. He overcomes evil. Free from the letters of the heart,
fetters
he becomes immortal.
Okay, now, so this is the station of Brahma. Yes? And so this is what they say in Hinduism. So now the thing is, why am I saying Brahma and not Brahman? You can actually read the Sanskrit there. It says, Sayohave talparamam Brahma Veda. It says Brahma, not Brahman. Am I correct? Yes. Brahma Eva Bhavati Nashya Brahma Vitkule Bhavati. So it's actually Brahma, not Brahman. That's, like we're using translations. So whoever reaches this station of Brahma. Well, now, if we open up the Quran, we will see that in many translations, it mentions something known as the station of Abraham, or the station of Brahim, or Brahma. So now this is a serious topic and a serious question now for the Quranists, and many of them are saying similar things to what is found in Hinduism. Yes, we shall see this as we go along, and we will compare Quranism and Hinduism. Yes, and this is why I have a name for them. I call them Hindu Quranists. Yes, because they have found, they have naturally inside them that their thinking is naturally Hindu. So they are Hindu Quranists, but of course, they don't realize it. But, the Sunni Muslims, they turn around and say that the station of Abraham is a place on earth. And they say, they say that this place is in Mecca. Yes, that's why it's called Makam or Mekam, Mekam Ibrahima or Brahma. You see? So you see, the station of Abraham is something many people say to achieve. You see? So the Quran says something like, here is just a translation. It says, the station of Brahma in the Quran, whoever enters it will be secure. The Quranists at the moment are saying, there's several groups. Yes? Some of the Quranists say that, that this station of Brahma is in the human body. Yes? Of course, this is, this is how Masonry and Freemasonry and the Illuminati originated, whereby they say that this station of Brahma is in the human body. The Muslims call the Kaaba the house or the temple of God, because the Kaaba is a temple. Call it mosque in Arabic. Not mosque or some type of house of God, or they call it Beit or Beth in Hebrew, like Bethlehem, or the house of something. So, and this topic has been going on for centuries. Yes, so the Quranists have their Hindu brothers. Yes, the Hindu brothers, Yes, who they will find a lot in common with, who are saying that, what do you call it, that the station of Brahma is in the human body. But there is another thing. Many of these Quranists will compare it to what the Hindus and the Buddhists are saying. Then you will find the origin of Hindu and Buddhism. Me, I focus on history. I'm not on either side. There's many nice Hindus. I've got friends with them. I've got many Muslim friends. I've got Quranist friends. I've got them all. But the thing is, it's, for example, if you went to a Catholic school, generally you have Catholic thinking. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. So,
I would say so.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, not always. You could come out of a Catholic school and you could have, Muslim thinking. Yes, but the thing is, for example, many of the Quranists, yes, are living in Western countries. And they've had Western education, so they, of course, have Masonic thinking, because in the West we have a Masonic education system, which is very successful in the way they've made their societies here. I live in England, and the education system is very successful. So now let me show you many things that about these global maps, like. To go through global maps, you've heard of Shambhala, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you've heard of Shambhala, and you know Purusha, or the station of Brahma, or how to get to Brahma. It's like unite with Purusha, the original image of God, or the image of Brahma. Yes, and you do know the concept of this, yes?
Somewhat, yes.
Yes, so you do know about the Vasta Purusha Mandala, yes?
I've heard of it.
Yes, now the Vasta Purusha Mandala, yes? It's like, if anybody understands Freemasonry, the square and the circle, squaring the circle, let me just show you the Vasta Purusha Mandala. Now this is a concept of and an idea in India. Yes, as you could see, the circle with the north, east, west and south, and the square, and inside is Purusha or Brahma, and this is the ultimate aim, or the ultimate goal, to unite with Brahma, Purusha, who is the primal human being. And so this is known as the place of Brahma, or the station of Brahma. Yes, and as you can see, there is the north, south, east and west, and notice the square and the circle, and this is in Hinduism, and notice it's similar to the concept in Freemasonry, or the same, squaring the circle with the compass and the square. Yes, as you can see, so this is the station of Abraham in Hinduism. Yes, and you can see it.
Yes.
Three-dimensionally, it's a cube, and the Muslims have refused a cube at the Kaaba. So it's because the Muslims, that's why I turn around and said it, I've said it before, they've set up this Sunni system, or even the Shiites go there in Mecca, the system that they've done there, and they call it the Qibla, or Sunnis will call it the Kabbalah. It's the greatest form of Kaaba and Allah, or the house. Kaaba, they say it's the house, or the station of Abraham, or the position of Abraham, and for Allah, or God. Yes. So here we have Brahma, or Purusha, or the Purana Brahma, the original image of God, or the Brahma, or the station of Abraham. Can you see it? And can you see the circle and the square? And the directions, the north, the east, and the south, and the west. Yes. So the thing is, because the Torah was global in the past. Yes. Yes. What I'm going to have to do, let me just see. I'm going to have to rotate this to show that when you rotate this to the north, magnetic north pole, and other things, and then you will see it, that it's actually geography. Yes, and it's a Hindu concept. It's and that's how Hinduism formed. It's because they broke away from the one world global religion that we see this beautiful architecture, beautiful buildings, many other things. And so the other thing is, it's like the world was united and many other things. So the thing is, many Quranists are saying, hey, Quran only. Yes, the Quran is probably the most important historical document because it's the only one that could be verified. Well, now I've rotated it and have another look at this station of Brahma in Hinduism, and I've rotated it to show the magnetic North Pole and the direction of north, and Purusha's head, Brahma's head, is facing north. Yes, and we will compare this to the Muslim Kaaba, and you will see the similarity. It's like one person copied another, or one person turned around and said, hey, I reject your interpretation of this old world religion in the Torah or in the Quran, and they've given their interpretation, and this is how Hinduism formed. And today there are many Quranists who are saying, yes, this station of Abraham is inside your body, yes, or it's actually a station whereby you unite with Brahma, or you go to this place. It's the same concept in this modern Quranism with many of them, and within Hinduism. Yes, so it's nothing new. This has happened before. It's basically your interpretation of the Quran, what you think is the interpretation. Yes, so let's have a look. Yes, can you see it? You can see the magnetic North Pole.
Yes.
So it faces north. When you look at these things, and then you will see that even the way the current Muslim Kaaba is built, yes, so it's like the people or the illuminated Muslims who built who chose this location for the Kaaba. They chose it for specific reasons, even the directions. That let me just show an example of the coordinates of the Kaaba, and it's laid out so that its four corners are facing the cardinal points, and also geographically, with certain mappings, it's the central location of the land. But that's another long story. Yes, so whoever chose this location, they chose it because it looks like the mother center, or the mother location, or the mother city, or the mother place, or the Ka of where we live, our world, our planet, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. And if you are in the Illuminati, when I say Illuminati, I mean in your thinking, or if you've done anything wrong, then you would fear this Islam, because it is targeting beyond the 33rd degree, because all the other religions are limited within the 33rd degree. Because as you can see, the Vasta Purusha Mandala, it's limited within the cube and the circle. So is Vitruvian Man. Now look at this. This is the Kaaba. So as you can see, the magnetic north, and then there is the north there. Yes, the way it's laid out there. Can you see? Yes. So and so the Sunni Muslims, we say Sunni, yes, or Sunnah. They call it Sunnat. Yes. And the thing is, people can check this online, and this is a very important concept, because the Sunnah in Germanic in Germanic languages means the way of light. Yes. Now, when we look at some documents they claim the Middle Ages or older, but it looks like the Renaissance. For example, Josephus and Philo, they mention a group of people called the Sunnis or the Essenes or the Sunnis, yes, who are following the Sunnah or the Sunnat. They left the city areas, or the city of Jerusalem, wherever that was. And Flamenco shows this Jerusalem was in Europe, and it was a generic name, and there was multiple Jerusalems. Yes, but anyway, they left the city area and they went to the deserts. And when we look from Europe, we see the deserts in going east from Russia, going south from Turkey, that's Arabia, and then on the other side, south of Spain, we've got North Africa and the deserts. So these Essenes, or the Essenes, they went to the desert areas, yes, and they took the Sunnah with them, yes, the original Sunnah, the Essenes, the religion of Esau. That's why they say the Society of Jesuits are Societies Esau. Esau, even in many Old English dialects, they say the name of Jesus Christ is Esau, like the Jesuits are called Societies Esau. Yes, well, anyway, these people, yes, left with the original Sunnah because they wanted to get away from Europe and the city areas, whatever was going on. And it looks like these documents are from the Renaissance, when the Crusades were happening and the skulls and bones were being placed in the churches. So we can see great movement that they went to the south and they went to the east. This is what we can see. Yes, there's different stories of what they are, but when we look at the reality today of who these Essenes are, or the Sunnah people, or the Sunni, or the people who follow this Sunnat, we see something else. We see the current region in the Middle East and in the East and in North Africa. I showed this in my books. In my books, especially the Last Crusade. The Last Crusade in Jerusalem is in Europe. Wherever this Jerusalem or Israel was located, people went to the south, which means North Africa, from the Middle East, and they went to the east, which means India, to the south and the east. And the Quran itself says the Sunnah is the same. So now the Muslims, they actually call it the word Sunnat. Yes? Sunnata al-Rasuli, or things like this. Yes, and basically they call it the Sunnat. Sunni, example Sunnat. So that's what they say. So that was their system, the Sunnat system. Yeah, and the thing is, if you look at the word Dharma means the way, or you could call it a religion in Hinduism. Yes, dar in Arabic means house. Dharma, it comes from the word door. And if you in Turkish, they will say doru, means true. And then doru comes from, toru, true, in English. If you study these, it was a global language. Yes? Now, let's turn our focus to India. And in India, we can see that Hinduism, or the name Hinduism, as a concept, is relatively new, about 100 or 200 years old. And many people say that this word was invented by the Europeans, the colonial occupiers, the British, the French, the Jesuits, the Spanish. But in India itself, they call it the Sanatan Dharma, or the Sunnata Dharma. For example, the Jesuits have opened a university in Asia called the Sanata or Sunnata Dharma. Yes, and this is the word Sunnat in Islam, or the Sanata or the Sunnata in India or in Hinduism. We can see it's basically the same thing. Yes, and it came from the Essenes, or the original Sunnah. This word originated from there and then divided. In the East anyway, it's divided into the Sunnat of the Muslims and the Sunnata or the Sanata Dharma of the Hindus, and this was the religion of the Essene, or the Sunnah, or the Isa, or the Christ, which has become the Krishna in the East. And of course, the historical documents have been forged in the East to show that Krishna is a different character. But we can see the same origin: Christ, Krishna, Sunnat, and the Sanata or the Sunnata. Yes, as you're beginning to see that this is from the same thing in the past of people preserving the original system. They left Europe to go out to the south and to the east, and to the further east we go, we get to China and to India, and we have Buddhism and Hinduism, and we have this Sanata or the Sunnata. So when Fomenko says that during the Renaissance, and Nosovsky, when they say that Hinduism and Buddhism, they originated from this one global religion. Are you beginning to see that it's the same religion that's split into different concepts? Yes? Different interpretations of the same thing. The Quran says, whoever finds this station of Abraham, or things like this. The Hindus are saying, whoever gets to the station of Brahma, and they've achieved it. It's the same thing. Can you see it? Yes? Yes.
Yes.
And can you see it from the Purusha mandala? You can see it. Even the way that the Kaaba is located, you can see it. So now what we have, let's go even further. Like, for example, in the north, Vinland is, what you call it, the north. It's not near Australia, not near the Middle East. You've heard of Vinland the Good and the Vikings going in the north. Yes? Now here is an example. Maps of the north, claim this was a map from the 15th century, forged in the 1920s because it's making money. Here is another one. You know, the Jesuits forged maps of showing North America, Canada, other places, and the North Pole because maps make a lot of money. Yes, that's true. Many people don't want to accept it, but books and maps that they were printing in the past made a lot of money, and they put fake dates on. For example, in the 1920s, 1940s, 1930s, 1950s even, yes, showing that maps are from the 15th, 16th century, and they showed, for example, they were showing what is supposed to be at the North Pole, and they made many of these maps, and organizations such as the Jesuits and many others were involved in forging maps and showing the dates are old. Printers were making a lot of money. I mean, you're a businessman, you've got to make money. So of course they told people these maps are old, this shows the North Pole, here it is, yes, and they showed things like this is the place for Shambhala in Buddhism or Hinduism or whichever way you want to call it. Yes, and Shambhala, this is the land, it's in the north, it's in the North Pole. The Pure Land, this is the place where you will achieve enlightenment. Yes, this is the place that Brahma, or the station of Brahma is. The four corners of the square that are pointing, or the head that's pointing from Purusha Brahma, it's pointing to the North Pole. So many of these maps were forged, yes, and sold only, you know, in the late 19th century, and in the 20th century they were being sold because people want to believe anything, and there is no evidence of any of these things. I mean, who has gone there to the North Pole? I mean, if the station of Brahma is at the North Pole, yes, and people are claiming this, that the station of Brahma or the station of Brahima or Ibrahim or Abraham, if they're saying this, why don't they set an example? Why don't they go there themselves and say, I've been there? Yes, you know, put your money where your mouth is. Yes, you know, because many of these priests in India and China are making thousands and thousands of dollars. They've probably even made millions of dollars from these things, priests and printers and other things. Yes, publishing these things. So people who are making these claims and these things and who've done them, why don't they put their money where their mouth is? If they're saying this is the pure place, the Shambhala, the place where you will have enlightenment, how you can achieve eternal life or immortality, why don't they go there themselves? Why don't they set an example? Yes, why don't they put their money where their mouth is? Yes, they didn't do it. Of course, they're printing all these maps, claiming that they're from the Middle Ages or the Renaissance, and writing all these books and putting them in religions and things. And, you know, of course, they were making money from it or gaining fame or publicity. We can see this. It's happening all over India, even right now with many of these pundits or many of these priests in Buddhism. In Asia, we can see it. People are taking advantage of the common person. And this shows the clear split of the Essenes or the Sunna or the Sunnat, yes, as they left Europe. And as we get closer to Europe, we can see the Sunni Muslims. They have put in their Sunnat, and they say that this station of Abraham or Brahma is in the place called Makkah, or the current Mecca in Saudi Arabia. And they have rejected the Hindu and the Buddhist interpretation of these concepts that are found in the old one world religion, which is described in the Quran. And the Sunni Muslims have rejected the concept that the station of Brahma or Abrahama or Ibrahima, they've rejected that it's at the North Pole. They've rejected this concept and the entire thinking, and this is one of the major splits. Yes, and yes, of course, now many Quranists are beginning to accept these ideas. So these ideas have already been questioned for many centuries. Yes, and the thing is, the evidence shows that the people who were in Masonry and in the Jesuits and in the British and the French and the Spanish and Portuguese empires were involved with the Vatican in creating many of the documents that are clear forgeries to show that Shambhala or this station of Brahma is at the North Pole. And the Kabbalah, of course, yes, as well as Hinduism, says that the station of Brahma or Ibrahim is inside your body, but the Sunni Muslims have rejected this. Of course, the historical evidence flamenco has shown that the history that is found within the Sunni Muslims, known as the Hadith, is a forgery. Even when we remove this Hadith and we just look at the Sunni religion itself, yes, without the Hadith we find aspects of the old religion that was in Europe and globally, that Sunni Islam has continued many of the practices and the concepts within the old religion that's in Europe. And as we get further away and further east, we find these other groups formed, Hinduism and Buddhism, that they formed during and after the Renaissance. And that's Hinduism today. And yes, many of the Quranists who say that the station of Brahma or Ibrahim is in your body, yes, the Hindus agree with them. Yes, it's an agreeable Hindu and Kabbalistic or Masonic concept. And you must know about the legend of the kingdom of the lotus, or what the Tibetan monks talk about, this Shambhala, which can be found at the North Pole. You must know about it, yes?
North Pole, yes.
Yeah, you must know about it.
Yes.
That it's famous. What do you call it? Yes, the kingdom of the lotus. That flamenco shows that there was another Kaaba in Russia. Even the Nazis were obsessed with this station of Brahma or Shambhala. But this is what they told us, because they falsified the history of the Nazis. So now I've said there is the Quranist views, because many Quranists are claiming, yes, that the station of Abraham is at the North Pole. And this is why you see Quranism isn't new, or this Quranist thinking. Yes, their Hindu brothers were there many centuries ago before them. They were the followers of this one world religion, what we call peace or shalom or salam, or the religion of Jerusalem, this one world religion. And many people a few centuries ago thought of this idea. Yes, whether it was to make money or for other reasons, they declared that it's at the north or the North Pole. But flamenco shows that there was another Kaaba in the north in Russia and not in the North Pole. This is why many people say that Shambhala or the station of Brahma is in the north in Russia, or even in Siberia. So these concepts and these ideas in the Quranist thinking are not new. But the Sunni Muslims, yes, who were also the followers of the Sunnata, yes, or the Sunni, whatever you wish to call it, Sunnah in German, whichever, it was a global language, that they have declared that this is, yes, this is the place, or this is what is currently. They've chosen it and they've created the system. Now, can you see the difference between the Hindus and the Sunni Muslims? Can you see the difference? That they both have the same concept, but they've gone about it in different ways. Now, it's known that in Sunni Muslim or Sunni Islam, the Sunnat that they follow, that they don't have no idols and no statues and no images of living beings or anything inside their mosques. This is very well known. Whereas in the Hindu temples and in the Hindu buildings, yes, they have statues and images. Many people call them idols, but many Hindus will disagree. Yes, and this is based on the interpretation of concepts from the old one world religion of this great empire that we had. Yes, in the old world. Yes, and there's two different conflicting interpretations of what the old world religion was. You know, what we can find in the Quran and what we find in the Torah, and regarding statues, idols and images, and what we see in Hinduism and what we see in the Quranists today. Let's have a look. Now in the photo above, yes, you can see an interview of Acharya Prashant, and he explains in one of the Indian languages of the concept of the so-called idols in Hinduism. And he says that the Hindus don't worship idols, they use them so that they can achieve and reach the station of Brahma. It's used as a reminder, statues and images. Yes, and they not just him, but many other people say God has allowed so that they can use statues and images so that they can achieve and reach this station of Brahma or Abrahama or Abraham or Ibrahim, however you wish to pronounce it. Yeah, the subtitles in the video, and it's a long video, but somewhere in the middle, along there, you will find him explaining the concept of the idols, that they don't worship the statues themselves, but they use it, yes, as a reminder. Like, for example, in school or childhood, people have teddy bears and dolls. Yeah, the thing is, but they don't worship them. Yeah, they might love them because it reminds them of a concept, but according to him and many Hindus, they say we don't worship the statues as idols themselves. Yes, and many Quranists are now, they have the same concepts and the thinking of the Hindus. They say, according to whichever translation or dictionaries they're using, that the Quran doesn't ban statues or sculptures or images, and they say there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, so the Quranists are just exploring things that previous people explored from the previous scriptures of religion, such as the Torah and the Evangelium and even the Quran itself, and they came to this conclusion. And this is where we get Hinduism from, which is a branch of the original Old World One religion. What they don't realize is that this Quranism has been going on for centuries. Yes. And so the thing is, the Quranists, they say that the Quran itself does not ban statues and images. So this is what humanists, Masons, Freemasons, and Hindus and Buddhists have said in the past. Yeah, it says it doesn't ban them. So many Quranists say statues are not exactly banned, sculptures and things like this in the Quran, depending on what do you call it, the dictionaries. Yeah, of course, the thing is, many Quranists are refusing to accept that there's an actual history of the Sunnah, an oral tradition. Yes, like many Hindus have commented, yes, and Buddhists on our previous videos that we did. Yes, that Hinduism, what's his name again? Sadhguru. Yes, he's correctly said.
Yep.
Yeah, correctly said. It's not called Hinduism. It's actually called the Sanatana Dharma. Yeah. But if we remove the actual paper manuscripts that nobody knew, many people are saying, hey, they've had concepts and systems that have been going on for centuries. Yes, that's true. And when one examines, if one wants to understand how these Hindu and Buddhist concepts and systems developed, a good thing is to look at, you could see it happening today in front of your eyes in Europe and America, this new system called Quranists, whereby they're trying to interpret the Quran and they're giving interpretations without considering that there's centuries of history. Yes? Now, let's examine the tree of life. the tree of life, some people call it the temple, or the temple of God, or the temple of Solomon is depicted within the tree of life. And in the tree of life, which is sometimes shown inside the flower of life, we can see that they have put a man or a human inside the tree of life. The purpose of doing that, of putting a man inside the tree of life, yes, is to show that you are the cube, you are the Kaaba. You see? So inside the tree of life, same like the Vasta Purusha Mandala, that they're showing that man is inside the house of God, or simply man is God. You see that man is the image of God. If you look at the Quran from paper, yes, it actually sounds like in these translations, word for word, it says that God puts his spirit inside you. If God's spirit is inside you, what does that mean? It means you're God. Yes or no? Yes? You've got
Yes.
God's spirit.
Yes.
But if you read the oral Quran, this is why I tell people to go to the mosques. Yes, for the 10% meanings of these deep subjects, when you read it orally, and because it's known that the Torah was an oral book, so was the Angelium of Christ, the angel book. It was an oral book. So many of these people are saying that the Maka or the Brahma, or if you're in the East, or the Adam and all these things is actually your body. Yes, and that basically God is inside you, or you are God. You see? So these things, yes, Shambhala, or the station of Brahma, or the station of enlightenment, or the station of Abraham, or whatever, these people are saying it's either inside your body, according to the Kabbalah, or according to Shambhala and Vasta Purusha Mandala, it's at the North Pole, or it could be inside your body, whichever one. Let me just show you this Kala Chakra that is connected to Shambhala. And as you can see, many of the symbols for this Kala Chakra Tantra, yes, in Buddhism, and in Shambhala, yes, there's a circle and there's a square, or squaring the circle as in Freemasonry, or the Vitruvian man, or in Hinduism, the Purusha that's in the square and the circle. Yes, and many people are saying that this is within every human being, or the temple of God is actually inside your body, or Brahma is inside your body, that when you unite with Brahma or come to this station of Brahma, that you become Brahma. And in Hinduism they say Brahma is God, or the image of God, or basically you become God. Yeah, so this is found in all these religions. And one religion that rejects it, when you look at the Kala Chakra Tantra, or the symbol for the Shambhala, it's a perfect square, and in 3 dimensions it's a perfect cube. Same like the cosmic ashlar, it has to be a perfect cube in Masonry. But the Sunni Muslims who follow the Sunnat, they've refused this cube. We can see this from the Kaaba that's in Mecca. It's not even a cube. So all this is explained in my books, Secrets of the Kabbalah and the 33 degrees. It goes into it very deeper so that people can understand these things and how it's connected, of course, to the falsification of history and the use of the number 19 and the number 33 and the 33rd degree and things like that. So you could read this yourself.
Yes, Shambhala vision is rooted in the principle that every human being has a fundamental nature of basic goodness.
Yes. So the thing is, that's in the Kala Chakra Tantra. And can you see the diagram beside it? Yes, to show.
Yes.
Yes, and from there, the Hinduism and the Buddhism, where it connects, and they say that Shambhala is at the North Pole, many Tibetan Buddhists, and many Hindus say that, the station of Brahma, the circle and the square, and it's at the North Pole. The circle is the universe, and the square is the 2 easts and the 2 wests in the Quran, or the plane or the earth. Can you see it? Yes? Are you beginning to see it's from one global historical religion? You see? So many of the principles came from the past. It's becoming very clear that there was a one world global religion that divided into many sections during and after the Renaissance. And this is what Fomenko describes. And as we can see in the picture above, yes, Fomenko describes it in the translation as schisms or disputes. People were having arguments in their interpretation of meanings of certain words, or this 10% of words that were within the original Torah, which people call the Old Testament today, but evidence shows that that is a forgery and it's not the original Testament. And people were having disputes of the interpretation of terms and meanings in the Angelium or the Evangelium, and also disputes in the meaning of words, these 10% that are in the Quran. Yes, so Fomenko shows that these schisms and disputes happened, which led to conflicts and to wars, and which led to the Crusades and other things. But it's pretty clear that there was a one world system, religious system, that divided, and it was men who gave their meanings to many of the words, and that's why it's called human or man-made meanings, humanist meanings. And many of these meanings, interpretations, from different religions and different texts. I mean, the best example that you can see today, it's very good to have a look at it. You can see people fighting and arguing in these Quranist groups on Facebook and online, each person giving their own human idea that's from their brain, because they are human, they're a man. They're trying to say that I think God said this, I think God wanted this, I think. In other words, it's a human interpretation, humanism. And this is where a major dispute happened in the past, you know, regarding the station of Ibrahim or Abraham or Abraham or Ibrahim, and then many priests. Today they're called Hindu priests, and many Buddhist priests and other people, and including Jesuits and the Catholics, Protestant priests, even Muslim priests, took advantage that people were confused of the meaning of these 10% of the words, and then the global religion divided, and many priests took power, and from there we developed these world religions that led to this new world order right now. So Fomenko shows that what do you call it, how it was in reality, what do you call it, and how the global religion, which was a unified global Christianity or global Islam, or you could call it global Hinduism. Yeah, call it global Hinduism. This global religion that we had split up into these different religions, and Hinduism and Buddhism was one of the splits. That's why in Buddhism, how they pray, bowing, everything, it's similar to the Islam. And this is part of the original Sanata of the Dharma or the Torah or the door or the Toru or the true or the Drat Dazom. Yes, the door or Dharma, mother door, or the Torah, mother Torma, Dharma. Yes, and the original Sanata, yes, or the Sunnat, or the Essenes. Yeah, are you beginning to see this history? Yes, yes, you can see it. Yeah, if there's any questions, ask them along the way, so that we don't have to go through at the end. Are you beginning to understand the concept?
I believe so. Yes. I don't really have any questions at the moment. So
yes. So now the thing is, many people, the Quranists, many Quranists are saying, for example, they are saying, what if this Prophet Muhammad was Jesus, the second coming of Jesus Christ, and things like this. And some of them are saying, you know, Abraham was Moses, and Moses was Jesus, and Jesus was Moses, and Abraham was Muhammad, and things like this. Yes, but this is nothing new. Yes, these things that many people are saying in the Quranist community, where they're putting forward these ideas, were put forward during and after the Renaissance, and it formed into Hinduism. saying that Brahma is Krishna and Krishna is Brahma and Brahma is Mahamudra, or things like this, or the Mahamida, it's the Buddha, he's coming back again as the Mahamida. Yes, and then this concept of reincarnation. Yes, or the same person coming back. Yes, these stories or these questions were asked by the people who were questioning the scriptures and the books during and after the Renaissance, and it formed into Hinduism. So therefore, yes, Quranism, yes, should look at their brothers in Hinduism and learn more from what they have to say. They will find their answers in Hinduism because they naturally question and think in a similar way like the Hindus. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can't see it. Brahma is Krishna. Krishna is Rama. You can see it?
Yes, I'm beginning to see.
Yes. So when the Hindus say Krishna is a reincarnation of Brahma. So the thing is, Hinduism and Buddhism, they are the oldest Quranists, or the oldest oldest people to question what was the meaning of the Torah itself, and they formed one interpretation of what this Kaaba or house or station of Abraham is. You please read this yourself. Dictionary of Sexual Terms.
Yeah. Pole 1. A penis, or more often, an erect penis, also known during the Renaissance,
etc.
carnality.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're beginning to see it. Yes, there is more to this. When this happened, I'm sorry for laughing, but these are serious concepts. That when you look at, Kundalini in Hinduism and Buddhism, you must know the Kundalini. Yes.
Yep.
The spine. Yes. So when I mention these things, many people don't understand. But if you understand Freemasonry, the 33rd degree, now the Kundalini is not a joke. Yes, that's why they said that Christ, his back was touching the cross, the spine, or the pole. Yes. Now let's examine this pole for a minute, or the North Pole. Yes. The pole that is at the top of the head. Yes, from the Purusha Mandala Brahma. The pole that is at the top of the head, or the pole that's the spine on the back. And Jesus Christ was on this cross with his spine facing the cross, and the spine, which is the Kundalini or the snake. And the spine itself has 33 vertebrae or 33 bones. But at the top of this spine, or this pole, or this stick, yes, at the top of this stick, or the North Pole, this is where the secret is. To the Purusha Brahma, to get to Brahma or the mandala, has got to the top of the pole. And at the top of the pole is the all-seeing eye. Yes? Or what you call the Ajna chakra, or the crown chakra. And the crown chakra, yes, see here, can you see at the top the crown chakra, the eye at the top of your head, or I know, I am, therefore I know, or I exist. Now a similar concept can be seen in Judaism. The tefillin, the top half of it, it's a cube, yes, that's black colored, that Jewish people wear on their heads, on the position of the third eye, or the Ajna chakra, which is at the top of your spine, in your pineal gland. And notice when we said at the bottom of the spine, at the bottom of the 33 bones, yes, is the penis. Yes, and so this is the pole, and at the top is the North Pole. So these ideas are nothing new, and the Quranists are exploring these ideas, and so they will find this in humanism and in the Kabbalah and in Hinduism. So many of their ideas are what they believe in and their beliefs. Yes, of the North Pole being at the top of your head, or the Kaaba, or the cube, or the third eye at the top of your head, or this house of God, this cube of God, yes, is within the human body. And in Hinduism they say anybody who finds this station of Brahma becomes Brahma or becomes God. So these are these ideas that people from the old world global religion, many people who were questioning and came to these interpretations in the past, and today many Quranists are doing it using dictionaries, when we know that nobody in the entire Middle East speaks Arabic as their mother tongue. They're learning it in schools. I mean, where did this language come from? Yes, nobody in the entire Middle East. They can go and check. They can go and ask, did your grandfathers speak this? Or do you learn it in school? Who set up these schools in the Middle East? Who wrote these dictionaries that these Quranists are translating from? Yes, so this is why, you know, it is a total fraud. Anatoly Fomenko's co-writer, Professor Nosovsky, has said the Quran is a clear book. Yes, and but the thing is, with the current Arabic, when you translate it to Russian or to any other language, 10% of the meanings are lost. And the thing is, it is a fact that the Quran, 85% of the Quran, there's only 500 words, and people are teaching it to their children, passing it on in many regions. Of course, yes, there is the question that if many meanings are lost, but we're talking that if anybody really wants to investigate, instead of looking at these Jesuit or Masonic dictionaries of the Arabic language that we're using in the West, who wrote these dictionaries? Nobody in the Middle East speaks this Arabic language from the dictionaries. They're passing down the oral meanings. And so many of these people, if you're in the West, if you can't travel to these regions to meet these people from different parts of the world, I've suggested go to a mosque where you can meet people. I didn't say go to a priest or somebody. I said go and meet people, go and question, go and investigate. Of course, there are some people who don't have a brain, and they're trying to claim I said some other things, but that's a lie. And you know, if these people are liars, of course they're going to be lying. But anyway, the fact is, you know, many of these Quranist ideas and what the Quranists are saying, their brothers, the Hindus and the Kabbalists, have said many of these things already a few centuries ago. And this is where we have the origin of Hinduism in particular. This next picture shows Vitruvian Man, yes, by Leonardo da Vinci during the Renaissance. And we can see a square in 3 dimensions. It's a cube and a circle around it, or squaring the circle in masonry. Yes, and the circle represents the heavens and the square represents the earth, and the man represents the heaven and the earth. Yes, and the North Pole, or where his head is at the top. Yes, this is where they say is the cube that's in the Kabbalah and in the Jewish Tefillin, or this is where the third eye is, or the station of Brahma in Hinduism. And notice it's a square and a circle, so, same like you have in the Kala Chakra, same like that you have in the Vasta Purusha Mandala. Yes, and the people who don't have this cube, yes, at the Kaaba in Mecca, which is not a cube, is the Sunni Muslims. Yes, so we can see a global pattern. So the Renaissance humanists had this concept that man was the represented the heavens and the earth, that man was the creator. Yes, that man was God because man was the image of God. Yes, and God turned himself into a man, and this is seen in Christianity. Yes, where God became man, Jesus Christ, and this is seen in Judaism, where God came to visit Abraham in the form of 3 men. Yes, which is supposed to represent the Trinity, or the Trikaya, the 3 faces of Buddha. Yes, or the Trimurti from the Purusha Mandala, from Brahma. Yes, so they say that this station of Brahma, or this cube, yes, or this Kaaba, is the human body. And this is why they say, especially in Hinduism, that God is everywhere and God is inside everything, or everything is God, and that the earth and the universe is the actual body of God, and therefore everything is God. And now many Quranists are saying that the Quran talks about something like God is close to you, so they're saying God is within you. Many of these Quranists interpret this. And it also says in the Quran itself that wherever you turn, you will find God. Yes, so in the fraudulent translations it says the face and the hands and the legs of God, but this is not in the oral Quran, which many Quranists are not willing to look at. Yes, but the thing is, so that's why they say God is everywhere. These conclusions were drawn by people in the past, and this is where we have Hinduism. Yes, that God is everywhere and God is in everything. God is inside you also. Yes, and therefore the Kaaba, or the cube, or the temple, is your body. The temple, which is the Kabbalah, the tree of life. Yes, where they show a man is inside this, and the man is God, and the man is universe, because man is part of God, and he's got the spirit of God. And anybody who discovers this has reached the station of Brahma, or the station of Abraham, or Ibrahim. This is the new interpretation, but this is rejected in the oral tradition of Sunni Islam outside the Hadith, because a vast proportion of Sunni Muslims have never even read Hadith, and they live in poor regions where there is no Hadith whatsoever. Yes, so these theories that Quranists in the West are using, saying, hey, there's Hadith everywhere. No, maybe it's in the West, and it's infiltrated many Muslim institutions and mosques in the West. But many people are there who've arrived from the third world who can explain basic meanings of the oral Quran, which many of them have memorized by their heart. Yes, so the thing is, it's nothing new. The Quranists are nothing new. That's why the Quranists are the modern Hindus that these people questioned in the past, and they've got the right to question, and they've got the right to make these opinions. Yes, and got the right to make these interpretations. But of course, the dictionaries are a fraud. Yes, and there is no evidence that anybody speaks this Arabic in the Middle East, and there is no evidence that the people in the Middle East wrote these dictionaries in the 18th and 19th centuries, and there is no evidence that they wrote this history of Islam in the Middle East, which is known as Hadith or whatever. And so the oral tradition is still there, and many immigrants and migrants come from the Middle East who carry this oral tradition. I'm not talking about the people who are born in the West with Middle Eastern parents. So this topic can be investigated without using fraudulent dictionaries. So now this next picture shows the pole in your body that goes from the penis to the pineal gland, where they claim is the Ajna chakra, or the station of Abraham in your brain. Yes, and as you will see that there's 33 vertebrae, or 33 bones, what they say, and there is 19 bones at the top. Yes, this number 19 is another long story. More information about that is in the book Secrets of the Kabbalah and in my book 33 Degrees. It's too long to mention that here. But anyway, this is the the Kundalini, and or the snake at the bottom, which they say is the penis. Yes. Many people say that. So you can see how people in the past, when the one world religion broke down, and this civilization, some call it Tataria, or some call it the kingdom of Christ, or the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of Israel, whatever they call it. Yes, when it collapsed because of these different factions that grew trying to interpret the meaning of these words. And a major thing was the station of Brahma, and the concept of Brahma, and uniting with Brahma and achieving this station. Yes, and the Muslims the Sunni Muslims especially say this is the place in Mecca, and to achieve it is by charity and by pilgrimage, either there or there was previous Kaaba or other houses of God, and but they say it's achieving by charity and by good actions. So the Sunni Muslims, what they say is totally different from the interpretation of many of the Quranists regarding the station of Abraham in particular. The Sunni Muslims deny, yes, that it's in your body, or it's part of your body, like the Vasta Purusha Mandala, or it's at the North Pole, like the top of the head, or the Aina Chakra, or the one eye on your head. Yeah, many Muslims would call this concept the Dajjal, or the one-eyed Antichrist. People questioned this one world global religion before, where Fomenko and Nosovsky said that Muhammad overturned the old world order, basically destroyed it, and set up a world order. So the Quran must have been global. And many of these Quranic concepts, people must have questioned the Quran before. That's fine. So what we can see is that Hinduism and Buddhism developed from this old one world global religion. Yes? So we can actually see this. There's nothing wrong with it. You can see it, that Quranists have got the same concepts and the same mindset as the Kabbalists, and as the Jews and as the Hindus. Can you see it? Whereas the Sunni Muslims, they're something opposite. Now, if anybody understands the 33rd degree, basically, it's the highest in many organizations. It's based on the thinking or the system of the religion of Osiris. This is explained more in my books, 33rd Degree, and also Albert Pike's books. People can buy them. I know some of them are very expensive, several $100. Some are $1,000 or more than that. If you read them, you can understand the 33rd degree. So, wait, the Perfect Ashlar, have you received it? Yes? You can read it, Universal Co-Masonry. Yes? From the Encyclopedia Masonica. Yes. This is from the Encyclopedia. What do they tell you about the cube?
Ashlar, Perfect Encyclopedia Masonica, because in our own symbolism, the perfect Ashlar is a cube.
That's
a number of
commentators.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
That's the basic concept. It must be a cube, or the contents must be a cube. Yes. So this is very important. Now the thing is, the Muslim Kaaba, yes, the Muslims failed. Now failed to make a cube. Yes. Did they fail, or did they do it on purpose? Now the Muslim Kaaba, yes, has never been a cube for some reason. What are the dimensions of the Kaaba? You could read it.
But the Kaaba in Mecca is 50 feet by 36 feet by 42 feet. This is not a cube, but how can this be possible? Almost everyone else wanted a cube. Why did the Muslims fail to make a cube? Don't they know how to make a cube? They did not fail. If they wanted a cube, they would have made it a cube. It is clear that the Kaaba had nothing to do with a cube.
Now, let's take a look at September the 11th again, and the Twin Towers. Many people said it was an inside job, and they said the story wasn't true. Yes, so for example, if you're going to say, hey, the history of September the 11th is a lie, you mean that. But if you look at the details, let's say, for example, at the details, let's have a look at the history. It says it's happened on September the 11th. That is true. It says the President of the United States at the time was George W. Bush. That is true. It says it happened in New York. That is true. When somebody says that the story is a lie, or the history is a lie, or something is a lie, they mean that certain details are a lie. Yes? Or either the entire story is a lie, or there are some things within it that are based on true events, or they've been modified. Professor Fomenko has shown evidence that Arab history, or what is known as Hadith, was invented by the Jesuits and their allies in the 17th and 18th centuries. Yeah, so I have also stated that Hadith is a lie. But for example, the Hadith does mention some things that are in history that are based on true events, but they've modified many details, added things and deleted things, added fictional characters, deleted original characters. So that's what people do, or they have done in the past with history. Yes, for their own advantages and for political reasons. Yes, so when I mentioned that Hadith is a lie, that is exactly what I mean. And there are specific things within Hadith that are actually based on historical events, but of course they've been modified, and it requires a lot of investigation. Like, for example, there is the Dajjal or the Antichrist. Yes, the meaning of Antichrist means somebody who is an enemy of Jesus Christ, or the system of Christ, or anything to do with Christ, and that's what it means to many people, not to other people. The word Dajjal means deceiver, depending on how you see it. That word itself has got multiple meanings. Yeah, so when I've said that the Dajjal or the Antichrist and these things are already here in some of my works, I've shown evidence that especially the 666 system is already here. It came several centuries ago, and it's been used several times in the past, and that is also based on the cube. Yes, and other things, but that's a long story. More information and details of that are in my book Secrets of the Kabbalah and 33 Degrees. Since we've mentioned the Dajjal or the deceiver or the Antichrist, he's very famous and well known, orally anyway, in the Islamic world for having one eye, or he's very famous for this. And when we look at the concepts of the tefillin, yes, that we find in Judaism, the cube on the head, which is placed above the third eye. Yes, the third eye, which is the one eye. Yes, and the tefillin is supposed to be, yes, in Judaism they say that this is the house or the beit on your forehead. Yes, and the word beit means house. So many people within the Kabbalah, they say that the beit or the house of God is actually you or your body, or basically that you are God, or that God is inside you. Whereas this is rejected by the Sunni Muslims. Nothing to do with Hadith, but within their system we can see it's rejected. For one, the Kaaba isn't a cube. And another thing, they say that the Kaaba represents the bait, not your body, and it's not on your head. So we see these big differences. But anyway, the thing is, the tefillin is supposed to be above the place which is known as the third eye or the one eye, and we find the same thing in Hinduism, which is on your north pole or your pineal gland. Yes, the third eye, which is the Aina chakra, the chakra eye. And if we look at ancient Egypt, so we can see these things. Ancient Egypt isn't ancient. Professor Fomenko shows that it's from the Middle Ages. And I show this in my book. Ancient Egypt is not ancient, and we see the symbol of the eye with the symbol of Ra, the eye of Ra, or the eye of Horus. Or there's a one-eye symbol, and so many people say that this is the third eye. So the thing is, we can see this in the history of the Hadiths of the Dajjal, in that history. So it means these are based on an original history and an original concept, and they've been modified. Of course, there is evidence to show that the Hadith was being compiled even in the 20th century, even in the 1950s and 60s and 70s. There is evidence that there was modifications or alleged claims of new Hadith or Islamic history appearing. So we can see this history is being modified and changed all the time. Same like in the Bible, we have the stories of the Prophet Muhammad or the Mohammedans, which is shocking. Yes, but they've modified it. So now the only book that I found that I could trace back 200-300 years, Fomenko says up to 500 years, yes, is this Muslim Quran, the oral Quran, not the paper Quran. What does the word Dajjal mean? It shows you here in Britannica. Arabic into English. What does
Yes,
it mean?
yes. Al-Dajjal is Arabic, the deceiver. In
Yes,
Islamic
that's it.
eschatology.
That's it, the meaning. It
Yes.
just means
Okay.
deceiver.
Yes.
We can find the concept of the deceiver or the Antichrist and the 666. 666 forms one eye. Also, this concept is in the New Testament. It's in the New Testament in the Bible and in the Old Testament in Judaism. So the concept of the one eye or the Dajjal has already been here. And the global Dajjal system or the one-eyed system now is in the global religions. It's been there for 200 years in Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, the 666. So the thing is, can you see it now or you can't see it? That Quranists, yes, existed before the current ones. And if anybody studies, like there's Facebook groups of Quranism. And if you look in these Facebook groups, you will see the dispute amongst many of these Quranists of what they think individual words mean within the Quran. About 10% of the words of the Quran. Yes, they're fighting over it. And of course, looking at these dictionaries or the current Arabic writing system that they're using in the Middle East, what they call classical or standard Arabic, which is basically the same, but it was modified in the 19th century. I mean, nobody in the Middle East speaks this language. So we can see that it's a fraud, and the Middle Eastern people could not have even made the dictionaries because they don't even speak this language. Yeah, so whoever made the dictionaries, they put these meanings there. And the Quranists are fighting over these meanings, yes, and many of the meanings that they're giving for the station of Brahma or the station of Abraham or the station of Ibrahim or whatever they want to call it. And all these other concepts in the Quran, many of them are, many of the meanings that they've given are found in the Kabbalah and are found in Hinduism. Yes, so the Quranists are the Hindus of the past, and when we look at them, yes, we can see what happened in Europe during and after the Renaissance, when the humanists and the people who followed the one world great religion that we had before, yes, when the people started disputing, one person said this, that, and then on one side was the humanists, or with the Hindus and these people, they were like on one side, and then on the other side was the original religion of the old world order, that somehow it seems to have split up into Orthodox Christianity, and then it's continued today in the form of Sunni Islam. Yes, that's what it seems to show. So the Quranists, when you look at their groups, you will find within them, within their ideas, the humanist ideas of interpretation of the Torah or the Evangel, and the Hinduist ideas. So you will see them both. It's both. It's basically like you're looking at the past. Wow, it's so amazing. So look at these groups, look at the comments and see how they insult each other, fight each other. Imagine this was the Renaissance and people are walking around with swords. Can you imagine what these Quranists or humanists or these Hinduists, what they would have done to each other at the time? And then along come the politicians, yes, and the businessmen who want to make money out of these things. And they thought, aha, I see here, this is a very good way to make money. Money, and get power and then dominate and rule people. Yes, from this chaos. From this chaos we will, bring about this new order, and the new world order is what they've brought about. Which is based on this Dajjal or Antichrist or 666 system. Yes, as you can see. But have you seen it now? If not, I will present more evidence. Have you seen to understand how Hinduism and Buddhism developed, during the Renaissance? Yes, one just needs to look at Quranists and Quran today. Can you see it clearly, or you cannot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I think it's very clear now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now. Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you something, and you're going to think. Yes. Very shocking. So now the upper class, or the what they call the holy class of the Hindus. They don't get cremated, but they get buried in this Sanata or Sunnata Dharma in Hinduism. But the ordinary class, they get cremated, basically burned, and things like this. And now when we see the Sunnat Islam, same like the Sunnata of the holy class, the Sunnata of Islam, because the Muslims say, hey, they are all the people of God, or holy class. Yes, they don't cremate their bodies either. Yes, but the thing is, now that the Quranists are around, yes, many Quranists say that cremation is acceptable in Islam because the Quran doesn't say it. Of course, what the Quranists have done is that it's only the Quran, and they're imagining as if there is no history, or as if there was no other scriptures or no other religious books, when the Quran itself claims that it's a continuation of the original Islam from the Jerusalem, or this original religion of the religion of Moses and Abraham, or Brahma. Yes, but these Quranists, they just take just this book, whereas the Sunnata of Islam, they've kept a tradition, which is not in the Hadith of how people do the halal meat and how they do the burying, washing the dead bodies, and then wrapping it with white cloth. So we're beginning to see, where these ideas came from. During and after the Renaissance in Hinduism, this topic is there right now. So many of these topics that the Quranists are having right now is what they had in Europe and in the old world order. Is it live recording while we speak, or is it not live recording?
Well, I believe it's live recording.
The screen, I mean.
Are
you recording the screen live, or
you are recording it?
Oh no, I'm just recording
I'm not.
if not, but play this video. And play it and watch it yourself, and tell me what you think. Now here is
How do you do it, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Straight after the drum beats, she's reading the Quran. And there's many other similar videos that the Quranists have made. I'm not sure about this girl in particular, but she's not supposed to be. She's not like how people would say a practicing Sunni Muslim or anything like that. But the thing is, many Quranists say, hey, the Quran doesn't say you can't do it, so it's okay, basically. They're saying that this is what the Hindus said a few centuries ago, and so did the humanists. The thing is, this is why I say the Quranists are, the Hindus of the past. They've just they're here today, and they're following the same process that people did in the past, and it developed into a religion called Hinduism. And we can see here how Quranism is developing with the dance and the music, and singing the Quran with dance beats like a disco and things like this. This is in Los Angeles, and many Quranists, they say it's okay. Can you see it? And then she reads out the Quran. In fact, I'll play it. The music sounds interesting. Yeah, many people like this type of music. Let me just see. Now, when we look at these pictures above, look at this. There's houses on fire and other things. There's people being killed and burned alive and other things, in India and in that region, because of how people interpret what is supposed to be the way to God and the Word of God. It's because people insist and people think their human mind or what they have interpreted is the correct way. That is the thinking of a humanist. And where people think, I think this is the Word of God, or I think this is the meaning of the Word of God, and I don't accept what other people say or other interpretations, or I will not have a look at the history, or I'm not willing to reason. So because of many different things such as these factors, it leads to violence, unfortunately. Yes, and so this is why history is very important, to have a look at what is there in history and how people interpreted things in the past and how this led to the current situation we have today. Like, for example, there is Sadhguru. He's a famous Indian speaker. Now, he seems very normal, but if people listen to his speeches carefully, you will notice that how he speaks about the story of Christ, or how he speaks about the story of Krishna. Yes? And he uses words that we can find in the books of Albert Mackey, who was a 33-degree Freemason of the Supreme Council. People should check his works. And also, you would see that he's there in the launch of Chandrayaan and the so-called alleged moon landings in India. And the 19 minutes, yes, it took for the Chandrayaan 3 to land. People investigate this, and he was there at the launch of one of them, and his involvement with Chandrayaan and the alleged moon landings. Yes, it shows that that Sadhguru is nothing but a puppet and a fraud who is working for the people in power. Yes, but he is a good speaker. I like him personally, how he speaks and many of the things that he says. But that doesn't mean that he's correct historically, and that doesn't mean he's not working for the people in power and things like this. So more information about Chandrayaan especially will be in my new book, which will be out soon, which is about the New World Order. Now, looking at the page above, yes, look at the page above. I'll let you read this, then people can have a look at what is an opinion from Hindus themselves about the idols or the statues, and we will compare it to the Quranists and Quranism today. Yes.
Thus, an important point is made. Hindus don't worship idols, believing them to be gods. Rather, they view the statues and images as physical representations of God to help them focus on an aspect of prayer or meditation. This tradition is reflected in verse 12.5 of the Bhagavad Gita, which states that only a few have the time and mind to ponder and fix on the unmanifested absolute, abstract, formless Brahman. As such, it is much easier to focus. Okay.
So as you noticed when you read, like in the Upanishads, it doesn't say Brahman, it says Brahma. So it depends on your pronunciation. Brahma, Brahima, Abrahama, Ibrahima, Brahma. Yes, it's the same concept. Yes. Now take a look at this website or web page above. It is a Quranist website, and they even mention the so-called Station of Abraham. Yes, but when we look at the oral Quran itself, it's written in simple words, and there's no such word as like station, like a railway station or anything. So it's like they've made it like an extravagant or some mysterious or amazing word, like saying, hey, this is the station or something, the station of Brahma or something like this. So the thing is, you know, the Quranists are a fraud, because the Quran itself, it's actually in simple language that what do you call it, that even normal children should be able to understand, because they're memorizing it from a young age. And everybody knows that an average child knows about 2,000 or 3,000 words by the time they're 5 years old. Yes? Or if they've got television and they go to school, they know up to about 10,000 words. You can check this on US governmental websites from assessments of children who are age 5. And the Quran, 80% or 85% of the Quran has only got 500 words. That's it. What I will say now is going to shock everybody. 60 words, around 60 words, only 60 words is half the Quran. And these 60 words are repeated many times in the Quran. 60 words represent 50% of the Quran. And the Quranists are trying to tell the world that over 1 billion Muslims geographically in many different parts of the world have lost the meanings of this oral book, which they're passing down to children. Yes, this sounds ridiculous. Can you believe it? 60 words make up half the Quran. And it's like when you have a child, you're telling him, this is an apple, this is a banana, this is a tomato, and this is a potato or potato. Yes, whichever way you like it. Potato, 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 potato. Yes, so they're teaching these children in the Middle East without any books, you know, in the villages, with no hadith or anything whatsoever. And they've preserved this original sunnah. And the Quranists are trying to tell, you know, the rest of the world, hey, these people forgot the 500 words or the meanings. Yeah, of course, when they go to school and they learn modern standard Arabic in the Arab countries, yes, there is a high chance that up to half of the meanings, or maybe more, will be infected with the dictionary meanings. But we have to remember that, what do you call it, there's only 400 million or so Arabs, and there's like 1.5 or 2 billion Muslims. So the majority of them are non-Arabs. And in a lot of the Muslim countries, maybe even half or even more, they don't have no hadith whatsoever. They mention Islamic history, or like the Christian hadith or the Christian history, or the Muslim hadith or the Muslim history in school, same like we study the Crusades or basic things. But when it comes to religious doctrine, in many Muslim countries, they're not teaching no hadith whatsoever, like in Turkey, Kosovo, Bosnia, in Serbia, in Bulgaria, in Romania, where there's substantial Muslim communities who are native European people. If we go to Asia, we can find it in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, in Kazakhstan, where the Soviets made sure that hadith didn't stay there in many of these places. So it's just a forgery and a lie that the Quranists are making an excuse, that they don't want to go to do research in many parts all over the world, in Russia, where there's millions of Muslims, or even in China, go and check what they know and the oral meanings. And when we see that the Muslims meet once a year in Mecca from all over the world, they check the meanings when the Quran is recited, and many other things, and we can see that the meanings, they've passed them on, and they're nothing like what many of these Quranists are claiming. Yes, so the thing is, historically, yes, there is no evidence in many of the things that they're saying, you know, like Shambhala, the North Pole, and the Hindu station of Brahma, where you unite with Brahma, and the Buddhist Shambhala, or things at the North Pole. So these things, these concepts, yeah, we can see are actually in Hinduism. Yes. So as we can see, reincarnation is a common thing in the East amongst Hinduism and in Buddhism. And as Fomenko and Nosovsky have shown, that Hinduism and Buddhism, they developed during and after the Renaissance, as they split away from the original global one world religion. So now going back to the reincarnation, and many of the Quranists, they say, according to their interpretation and according to the dictionaries that they use, they say that reincarnation is actually inside the Quran. This is what they say according to their interpretation when they have given meanings to many of the words in the Quran based on the dictionaries. Yes, not here is one verse from the Quran. We will look at it in a minute, but this verse, they explain it using many other verses, and they've given meanings to many of the other verses, many of the words in the other verses using these dictionaries. And without the other verses, they can't prove their points. But let's just show an example of what they're showing, because the Quran says that this Islam or the message that's within the Quran is actually the old world religion. This is a major point of the Quran. And the Quran also says what Flamenco says, that the world had one religion and then they split up because of disputes and arguments and schisms, how Flamenco says. This is actually recorded in the Quran, and Professor Flamenco and his team discovered the same thing in history. Okay, you could read this yourself.
Those who reject our signs, we shall soon cast into the fire. As often as their skins are roasted through, we shall change them for fresh skins, that they may taste the penalty.
Yes. So what they are saying is that you are born again when your body is dead, roasted. That's it. It's finished. You are born again as a new person. That you're just going to be reincarnated. Do you see? Or you don't say it. In some translations it says skins. In other translation it says body. You see? So it depends on which dictionary. And so many Quranists say that when you die, that is your day of judgment, many Quranists, and then that's it, you're just going to be reborn, and you're being born as a lower life, all these people who are poor, or this and that, and that's where they got the concept that when you burn your body, what color does your skin become?
Black?
Yeah, or brown. So that's where the concept came from in Hinduism, the caste system, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
You're beginning to see this now. So they say that's after Day of Judgment, that person's Day of Judgment has gone. It's gone, that's it. He's just going to be reborn, that's it. Yeah? So you see. So the thing is, Quranism and Hinduism, you see? So I'm not making this up. Flamenco isn't making it up. It started from schisms, disputes of trying to interpret the word of God with the dictionaries and then the meanings, that people invented dictionaries. But nobody is questioning who wrote these dictionaries. And what about the oral tradition? Now, the thing about the Muslims is, let's say there is no God outside the universe. And what do you call it? Yes, the Quranists are correct. God is inside your body. You're reincarnated into this world. And things like this. Let's say. Well, there's different opinions. Some Hindus and Quranists say, no, you'll be reincarnated in another world, etc. Blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on. Yes, people can check these Quranist groups, and you will see it's just pure Hinduism. Every person's got a different opinion. Yes, nothing wrong with it. Hinduism, many people find it as a beautiful religion. Are you beginning to see it? We can go through the concepts of Islam,
Yes.
and you will see these things. Quranists are Hindus. Yeah, Quranist Hindus. About the Islamic system, the Sunni system, I once said it's an amazing system what they're doing at the Kaaba in Mecca. The reason why I said this is very important. Yes, everybody follows religions. People are nice all over the world. People pray, and people are beautiful all over the world. I've traveled, I met people from all types of backgrounds. Now, if anybody understands the concept of the cube and the circle or squaring the circle, yes, you will understand that almost every religion is confined within the cube and the circle. Yes, but what the Muslims are doing and their prayer system that they've set up, which many Quranists call rituals, so what? Let them call it. But what these people are doing, facing Mecca, synchronizing and praying every day, and how they're praying, and their concept of God beyond the universe or beyond the cube, yeah, what they're actually doing is beyond the 33rd degree. Now, anybody who is from the 33rd degree, who's achieved it, will see that this is a threat to them or dangerous to them, because what the Muslims are doing all over the world with spiritual power, which is united through one brotherhood in one direction, and it's united and it's synchronized in all the time zones based on the sun and the moon for the calendar, then what you will see is that this is greater than the 33rd degree. I don't know how to explain it. Yes, the thing is, if you understand the concept of the 33rd degree in the Kabbalah, what the Sunni Muslims are doing, it's actually beyond the 33rd degree. And any other religion or any of these other systems which are within the 33rd degree would see Islam as the biggest threat. In fact, it is the biggest threat to the rest of the world, yes, if you believe within the concept of the 33 degrees. Now, the Muslims don't believe in this. They believe in something greater and beyond this. This is explained more in my book, Secrets of the Kabbalah and the 33 degrees. So if anybody understands this, will understand what is Sunni Islam. Whoever created that system must have been very, 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 very intelligent, that they created a system of how the Muslims pray and how they are spiritual, and it's gone beyond the 33rd degree, or they're targeting beyond the 33rd degree, which is unbelievable. Yes, I don't know how to describe it to you. Yes, you can study Masonry, or you can study many deeper into the Kabbalah to see if you understand this. But my book explains it in a quick way, the 33 degrees, and anybody who understands this will see that the way the Muslims have currently set up, it is beyond the 33rd degree, which is like, if you are the 33rd degree, then you will know, wow, this is so amazing, this is superior to anything we have, this is so powerful spiritually. Yes, so powerful that it's beyond the universe, beyond life and death, beyond the concept in all the other religions of the Alpha and the Omega. Yes, it's just unbelievable. But let me explain this concept, why this is the biggest concept ever, what the Sunni Muslims are doing. That the rest of the world, anybody who's done any crime, will find this dangerous. Let's say all these businessmen, they're cheating people, abusing people, giving them low salary, everything, and they're doing mining, paying people in the third world bad salary. So now what the Muslims are doing, there's about maybe 25% of the world, or maybe even a quarter. Nobody even knows how many they are. Now many of them don't pray 5 times a day, but they pray a few times a week, or even a few times a month. But the thing is, we're talking billions of people in the last 100 years have focused towards one focal point. They call this the station of Brahma or Ibrahima. They're saying it's this place. It doesn't matter if it's this place or not, but they're focusing using the solar and the lunar calendar, both. The solar calendar at daytime, so that they pray at fixed times, and the lunar calendar. Now, if you follow the way the sun goes around the earth, or whichever way you want to say it, the Muslims have synchronized the time, yes, of the clock. Yes, 24 hours a day from every single position in the world. Yes, they're facing there with these Quranic principles of beyond the 33rd degree. They're saying that God is beyond the universe, they're saying, and they're saying God is outside the universe, whereas everybody else is saying that you can become Brahma or unite with Brahma, or that basically you can become God, or God is inside you, or the temple or the Kaaba, you are the temple or the Kaaba. And they're saying no, we pray to Allah, it's just a bait or a house.